What's up, guys? I watched The Sound of Freedom yesterday, and I kind of been lingering on it because I heard so many things about the movie, and there's a lot of social media buzz about it. People talking about, oh, the elite don't want you to see this movie. This is why. And I'm like, what the fuck is this about? So I looked it up. It's about, child sex trafficking. And I'm like, ooh. Immediately my ears perked up because those are one of the three things that I am super into. Not like I do it myself, but I find it fascinating. So I do a lot of watching videos and reading about it on the internet. So child sex trafficking, pedophilia, and prison. Those are like some really big interests of mine. So my expectation for this movie was I was gonna learn more about child sex trafficking or just sex trafficking in general. But I didn't get that out of this movie. I feel like you would get more out of the movie if you didn't have any idea how sex trafficking worked at all. Because the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh yes, this is exactly how they do it. This is how they recruit, or sometimes they just straight up steal children. And I was like, damn, like they actually have CCTV footage of like people just snatching kids, and you're just like, damn. Let alone forget all that, forget my bias towards the movie. It was a good movie because it was compelling because of its story, and I think what helped it be more of a compelling story is the fact that it's based on true events. I'm not sure how much of it is true, but it doesn't matter because the point of the movie is it wants to bring awareness to how big of an issue sex trafficking is with the story. And why it's a good story, it's crazy because the plot, like, it doesn't tell you any time period. It just skips through time. It's just like things just keep going and happening, and it's great. It's a long movie, but at times it kind of feels like it, but at times it doesn't. It's weird because when it does sit in a certain time period, you know it's for a reason, and you know it's for a story purpose. Whether it's the main character is driving the action plot, or it's establishing more of his emotional plot. Because those are the two main plots of the movie. You have your action plot, the things that are happening externally, and you have your emotional plot, the things that are happening internally. So the catalyst for his journey is he gets sick of chasing pedophiles, and his friends like, well, how many kids have you ever saved? And then he thought about it. He's like, damn, yeah. And then he saves this one kid, and he's like, will you find my sister? And he's like, I promise. Boom, catalyst. Now we have to continue on with the movie. So that sets up the external and internal plot where he has to find his sister, the little boy's sister, but it's for the sake of putting his pieces back together. When he's talking to his boss, and he's like, I don't think you understand what I'm asking you. This job breaks you down. I'm asking you for a chance to put the pieces back together. And it's like, yeah, that was kind of insightful. The process of, because I'm not too familiar with like how they go about documenting the porn. I know that they have to watch the porn, and they have to. I didn't know they had to like file and like watch the thing in detail and descript everything that happens in the video or photo. And I was like, damn, like it's like one thing to watch it. It's another thing to write in detail what the fuck, and then probably have to watch it over again. Yeah, I was like, damn, and you have to do that over and over again. I was like, damn, that's yeah, fuck, that's heavy shit. Um, and yeah, the midpoint is great because the midpoint is bittersweet because the midpoint happens when he saves like 50 kids, but the 50 kid out of the 50 kids, the one kid he needed, the one kid he wanted was not the one that he got. So it's bittersweet because it's like, yes, he saved these kids, but he still has that emotional baggage, and you're like, yes, okay, so the movie still has to go on. And Yeah, and then it ends. It doesn't end on a sour note. It ends with the an uplifting tone, which is interesting because you don't. It doesn't show the consequences, even if these children are saved. They have irreversible damage done to them physically and mentally. Some of these kids are going to be infertile for the rest of their lives. They're not going to be they're not going to be able to have children. And on top of that, the mental scars. A lot of them end up becoming drug addicts, or they end up killing themselves, or they end up, re-abusing children. Not to say that that's a large portion of the time. Some people, I guess, I don't know. That's one thing I haven't looked up a lot, is like the reformation process of someone that's gone through something heinous like that. I guess it made sense to end on a feel good note, but I kind of wish the movie, I mean, the subject matter is dour. I just wish there was more of like a realism to it. And it wasn't just like feel good for the sake of, feel good. Um, yeah, because a lot of the time, this shit's gnarly. There's this one Australian dude. I can't remember his name. He's a piece of fucking shit. He basically went to Malaysia and then got this like 14, 16-year-old Malaysian chick. And was like, hey, marry me. I'm white and I have money. You're going to have a great life in America. Takes her back to America, starts pimping her out. And then he realized how profitable the escort service was. And then he's like, wait, Malaysia, Philippines, they have they're one of the, I think the Philippines are like the number one mass distributors of child pornography. He's like, hey, there's some untapped potential. So he goes over to Malaysia and he starts just abducting kids, or he'll like go to Filipino families and be like, hey, I'm white, I have money, give me your kid and I'll give them a good life. And then he would take their kids and then he would film them doing or film him doing heinous stuff to them. He was prolific in this genre called hurtcore, which essentially is snuff film. It's not just sexually abusing these children, it's also torturing them and eventually, for the most part, killing them. And he was prolific at this one moment in time because he was running the number one like child porn website at the time, and he streamed this one thing. It was like the number one pay-per-view child porn video of all time. It's called The Destruction of Daisy. It has three little girls in it. I'm not gonna tell you what happens in the video, but it's fucking awful. There's a video that this lady does on. She details like the whole. I can't remember her name either, but yeah. And then there's this other British dude. Like, the depths of depravity know no bounds. Just like, people have the potential for great accomplishment and great goodness, but then on the other end of that, you have people that do stuff like that. It's kind of fucking crazy. Um, yeah. So overall, it's a good movie. I didn't cry. I wanted to cry. I couldn't cry. There was people in the audience that were crying. There was at least 4 or 5 moments when people were crying, and I was like, man, maybe if I had a kid, maybe if I had a child, it would hit different. But I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it's pretty fucked up. But I mean, I'm already kind of desensitized, especially since I just told you the stuff that I usually watch because it fascinates me. So this wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like heartbreaking because I'm desensitized. I mean, yeah, it's still fucked up, but it wasn't like. But it's a good movie. I would recommend you go watch it because it does spread awareness to child sex trafficking. Something that I didn't realize, that they have a message at the end of the movie. They say child sex trafficking is like becoming the number one crime because it's the most profitable. The example they use is like, oh, you could sell a bag of coke one time, but you could sell a kid 5 times a night. On top of that, you could film it and distribute it and make even more money. And that's becoming, it's not just a domestic issue in America, it's global, it's international, it's fucking terrible. Um, yeah, and then on top of that, you got like these rich elites, if you want to call them, not just of America, but around the world that have the money. I mean, think about it. You get so rich, you could have anything you want. You could have the cars, you could have the houses, you could have any woman you want. Eventually you're gonna get bored. So what do you think they do? They start wanting the things that they can't have. They want the taboo things. They want the children. And then that's I was talking to my producer. He's like, yeah, that's what Epstein Island was all about. It was all about getting leverage on people. It was all about blackmailing. It was all about information. Information is power, especially when you're that high up because you can destroy people. So that's what Epstein Island was all about. It wasn't just like, oh, we love fucking kids. I mean, sure, there was an element of that, but it was mainly about the power that comes from knowing that someone is fucking a kid because that is morally unacceptable throughout society. I think this movie is great because yeah, it does. I've never had a conversation with someone just casually about like sex trafficking or pedophilia because usually the people will just jump straight to like boom, oh we got to kill him, and I can understand that knee jerk response, but there's got to be healthier solutions. I mean, sure, it's one thing if you know you have a sexual attraction to a child. It's another thing if you act upon that. And it's another thing if you go and get help for it before acting upon it. For the sex traffickers, straight evil. Straight evil. like like you're knowingly, willingly. Like it's one thing to have like an attraction towards kids. It's another thing to know that you're fucking sex trafficking them. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Like just sex traffickers in general, dude. Straight evil. Like there's no justifications for it. It's evil. It's fucking evil. Like, damn. Like I don't even know. I wish I could understand the psychology. Maybe there's some videos out there. Maybe there's some posts out there that go into the psychology of a sex trafficker. It's just evil. Like there's no good that comes from it other than you're fulfilling your greed and your lust, which are two of the seven deadly sins. So yeah, that shit's crazy. But hopefully now we can have more conversations about that as a society. I think it's been long overdue that we address the issues with pedophilia. It's becoming way more prevalent nowadays. Maybe it's always been prevalent, but it's becoming more exposed nowadays. So it's becoming more aware. People are becoming more aware of it. Yeah, man, because these are our future. These are the fucking kids. These are, you know, the future. They're innocent. So we need to can't just fucking kill the pedophiles. We can't just kill the sex traffickers. That doesn't set a good example. Can't do eye for an eye. Makes the whole world go blind. I mean, Saudi Arabia, they still do that shit. They still do public executions, but that's them. They're behind. We have to use our brains. That's what separates us from every other animal, except maybe fucking dolphins and uh, killer whales. Forget orcas. Our intelligence. So we have to. It's easier said than done because we get so distracted with life. Anyways, yeah, this is a good movie. Go watch it. There's a QR code at the end of the movie. I think there's a YouTube video about it, and it's like, hey, we had issues distributing this movie because it took 5 years to distribute. We made it 5 years ago, but nobody wanted us to distribute it. So please tell everybody about this movie to go watch it so we can help spread the word. Here's a QR code at the end of the movie so you can give back and give free tickets to people. So yeah, go watch this movie. Go watch this movie. It's good. It's good. That's what I gotta say. But fuck yeah. Wow.